Here's what you should know about your local housing market in this week's market update. We took a break last week. I was on vacation, but we're going to jump right back to it this week. Just to give you a point of comparison, brief run through last week's stats. Last week, new listings and inventory were way down. New listings were down 46% from the prior week, and total inventory was down 7% from the prior week. However, number of homes sold were up slightly from the prior week, and homes that went under contract were up about 25% from the prior week. So now, getting back into this week for Morristown, Chatham, Madison, Harding, Mars Plains, Mendham, Chester, Bernardsville, Basking Ridge, and Randolph. We saw a slight increase in homes on the market, new homes coming onto the market. We saw 24 homes come on the market this past week. That is a 9% increase over the prior week. So it's still down because, last week we were a significant decrease. So slightly up with new homes on the market. Houses, 19 of those were single family houses. 5 of those were condos or townhouses. Average list price of the homes that came on the market this past week was $1,172,000. That's a 4% decrease over last week's average list price. No astronomical numbers. The highest average list price is in Harding at $1,737,000. Total inventory. We currently have 207 homes actively on the market. Inventory is down again this week over last week. Not as much, but 2% decrease over the prior week. We're seeing the most number of homes on the market currently in Mendham with 35, and second place Basking Ridge and Randolph with 34 each. Homes sold, we saw 39 homes sell this past week. That's a 63% increase over the prior week. And we saw last week home sales were up over the week before that as well. Not surprising, we typically see a lot of home sales close towards the end of August. A lot of those late spring sales see an end of August closing, people trying to get that closing out of the way just before Labor Day and school ending. Let's see. Average list price of the homes sold this past week was $1.2 million. We saw, and then the average sale price of homes that sold this past week was $1,214,000. So this past week, homes sold for an average of 2.5% above the list price. And then the town with the highest average sale price this past week was Bernardsville with a sale of $2,995,000. All of these towns saw homes sell above the list price, except for Bernardsville, where they sold 3% below the list price. And that was one sale that sold at $2,995,000. Not surprising, that home was listed at $3,095,000. And plain and simple, even in a strong market, once you get up to that price point, you typically see negotiating down from the list price. But other than that, we saw homes sell anywhere from 0.6% above list price in Mendham, all the way up to 5.2% above list price in Morristown and Mars Township. So we're still seeing homes sell on average well above list price, although these numbers aren't quite astronomical as some of the numbers we've seen in weeks past, where they've gotten as high as 10, 11, 12, 13% above list price. Average days on market. This past week, home sales were on market for 44 days. That's a 70% increase over the prior week. Let's see if that sticks or not. Although, we saw pretty across the board throughout towns, ranging anywhere from 12 days on the market in Mars Plains to 112 days in Chatham. So I'm not reading too much into that number. We'll see if there's a trend in that, but right now that looks like that could be a little bit skewed. Under contract, this past week we saw 31 homes go under contract. That is exactly the same amount we saw last week. Average list price of the homes that went under contract this past week was $1,329,000. We did see Bernardsville with the highest average list price for homes that went under contract, and that was at $4,196,000. $1,000. So that skews the average list price up. It's 12% up from last week. And then median days on market for homes that went under contract. This is a number that I'm going to be paying a little more close attention to. I have a hunch that homes are going to be selling not quite as quickly. At least that seems to be what's happening in these last few weeks. Median days on market of homes that went under contract was 37, and that's a 20% increase over the prior week. Now, we are in a very funky time within the market in terms of seasonality. We just finished up the last week before Labor Day, before school starts, before the fall starts. So typically these last 2 weeks of summer are kind of interesting. Everybody's on vacation. There's kind of not a whole lot that gets done. So I don't want to read too much into the stats these last few weeks. These next few weeks will be very telling of what is going on with the fall market. Because really the fall market starts the day after Labor Day. So let's see how this fall shapes out. We're hoping for interest rate decreases. We're hoping for more inventory. We're hoping for much more active and balanced market. Let's see if we're going to get that. Thanks for checking in with me, and I'll catch you guys again next week.